It's quite the find. Hello friends, and welcome back to Crow's Thrifty Finds. My name is Melanie. For this week's video, we are going to discuss an area that I have not discussed before. So I would consider myself primarily a hard goods seller. That's kind of my area. Really, toys is probably my favorite area to sell, but I'm always trying to increase inventory into my store, and I do sell clothing, and I'll sell any type of clothing that sells. And for this week's video, I wanted to highlight an area that I feel like many resellers ignore when it comes to clothing, and that is children's clothing. A lot of the times people think there's no value in children's clothes, or it's not enough to make money. Why bother? So I'm here to tell you that there are bolos for kids' clothes, and it is worth checking the kids' clothing section just in case. And I don't know about you all, but usually my Goodwill, it doesn't have a very large children's clothing section, so really it doesn't take that long. And then, if you're going to garage sales, there's plenty of garage sales with kids' clothes, and if you have a moment, it doesn't hurt to look, because there's definitely things that you can make good money off of, and that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about 10 things. So why don't we get into it? Number one. Now, this is something that's probably pretty rare, but I want to highlight it as a bolo just in case. So this is a vintage Lisa Frank jacket, and look at what it's sold for. $355. So this, the odds of finding this may not be great, but anything Lisa Frank that's clothing for children is worth picking up. So definitely be looking for Lisa Frank clothing for kids. Item number two. This is actually my sale, personally. I picked up this Patagonia Aztec pattern jacket. For whatever reason, these Aztec pattern fleece, they're very, very desirable. People want them, and it's not just adults. People want them for their children. So this fleece jacket was a girl's size, sold for $40, and I got it for, I believe, $5, something very inexpensive. So if you can find these Patagonia children's jackets for cheap, they are good sellers, especially these Aztec prints. So be on the lookout for a print pattern like that. Item number three. This is a bolo, whether you get the children's or adult size. I don't know what it is about these Disney Cars Crocs, but they are bolos to the extreme. And it's not just the adult size Crocs, it's also the kids. These are toddler Crocs that sold for $47. Crocs in general can be good eBay sellers. I try to pick them up a lot if they're in good condition and inexpensive, and especially if you find those more unique variations. There are some really, really good Crocs you can sell on eBay. So these ones, they sold for $47 with free shippings, but probably don't cost much at all to ship. So I'm sure they made a good profit on those. So if you ever see Disney Cars Crocs, whether it be for children or adults, pick them up. They're bolos. Next, we are looking at something else I've sold before, Burton Ski Jackets. Burton is one of those brands that I don't know people immediately associate with high-end value, but I'm here to tell you that they are. And I know so because I bought my son a Burton jacket, and it was not cheap, but I could see Goodwill not marking something like that up. Like if they had a Burton ski jacket that was a child size, I bet you could get that for a very cheap price, unless you've got someone really savvy doing the prices in the back. So Burton Ski Jackets, this one that I'm showing you here, sold for $70. This is used jacket. So there is definite value in these ski jackets for children. So definitely be on the lookout for Burton jackets. I have not had as good of luck selling adult Burton ski jackets for as much. It seems to be people want them for their kids. I don't know, but they're a great pickup for kids. So I would especially recommend being on the lookout for Burton ski jackets for children's sizes. Polo Ralph Lauren shirts, like the nice collared ones. These are something that parents are going to want to buy used for that picture day for their kid. They want to have that nicer shirt. They don't want to spend a small fortune in buying the shirt, but they still want that nice brand. So I'd like to think that a lot of these fancier polo shirts for children are good pickups. So you're not going to make hundreds of dollars on these, but this one here sold for $26. I bet if you found, those big pony variations, that you could possibly get more. But yeah, these can be good sellers, just anything Polo Ralph Lauren, because a lot of people use them for fancier occasions. And I can speak for that myself. I have definitely gone on eBay to look for nice Polo Ralph Lauren stuff for my kids. So I know from experience that these are something people go seeking out. But usually it's the more formal styles that I think do better. But yeah, keep your eyes out for those. Item number 6, I see these on Facebook Marketplace all the time here in North Dakota. Boggs boots. These are very good boots. They resell very well. You can see this pair sold for $55, and these are youth, as you can tell. But yeah, these boots in general are great boots. They go to very frigid temperatures, and they're slip-ons. They're very easy to get on for kids. And for whatever reason, people resell them really cheap. I don't know why, but they do. I see it all the time. I get them at garage sales. I get them on Facebook Marketplace. It's something that is very feasible that you can get for cheap, but they resell for very good prices. So be on the lookout for Boggs boots. Next, I'm going to talk more vintage. We talked about that Lisa Frank shirt, and there are other vintage shirts that do well on eBay. And maybe this is a trend right now, I'm not sure, but I saw numerous vintage Lion King youth shirts that sold for very good prices, which is confusing to me because you can still buy a Lion King shirt right now. Like you go to Kohl's, you could probably find one. But for whatever reason, these vintage Lion King shirts, maybe it's something a parent had that exact shirt and they want to get that same one for their kid for the nostalgia feel. Gotta be what it is. But look at this all over print that has Scar on it. This is a child's shirt that somebody bought at auction with many bids for $315. Madness. But yeah, I saw also a onesie, like a vintage Lion King Simba onesie that sold in the hundreds. I mean, you want to look for vintage Lion King stuff because it's pretty hot right now. Another vintage brand that you want to, brand theme that you want to look out for, excuse me, is Pokemon. Pokemon's still popular to this day, but again, people want the late 90s, Pokemon t-shirts. You can see this one sold for $50. So there is definite value in vintage Pokemon. So if you see a year that's old on a kid's Pokemon shirt, you want to pick that up. And you could buy a Pokemon shirt at Kohl's, but you'll spend more buying a vintage one on eBay for sure. So you want to try to find those. Next, I just want to show you all this Hot Wheels jacket. This is a child's jacket. It went best offer on $200, so we don't know exactly what that sold for, but you've got to assume it's probably something in the $100 range. I doubt somebody gave them a $20 offer and they took it. So there's a lot of type of clothing for children that sells in the hundreds, and of course, unique jackets like this, or if you see one, are definitely worth looking up. And now I'm going to discuss baby clothes just briefly for this one item, but baby Jordans. I got a pair of pink baby Jordans, actually identical to these ones here in this listing. These were not mine personally, but mine sold for in a very similar price range. Baby Jordans are great. A lot of the times they're in very gently used condition because the kids aren't beating them up yet at that size. So you can get them for, possibly very cheap at garage sales. Mine came from a storage unit, so you never know. For those of you that buy storage units, if you see baby Jordans, do not toss them just because they're little. These things sell. So yeah, they sell in the upper 30s, low 40s. Coloring is important. I've noticed the pink ones do very well for the girls. So that's what I had. And yeah, they they're good sellers. So baby Jordans, if you see them on Facebook Marketplace, wherever, if they're a cheap enough price that you can make a profit, with selling them in the high 30s, low 40s, you definitely want to get them. But a lot of the times people are selling baby shoes for real cheap just to get rid of them, because a lot of people just get get baby supplies at their baby shower that maybe they don't need all the stuff that they get, so they just offload them for cheap. But yeah, I wanted to mention baby Jordans. It's not just Jordans for bigger people that sell well. Baby Jordans sell well too. And that's going to do it for this week. Hopefully you learned something. If there's a child's clothing item that you've picked up that you've made good money off of, feel free to share it down in the comments. Or if you just want to say, hey Melanie, how's it going? Feel free to put that in the comments too. I love when people just say hi. Let's all stay connected, right? So this is Melanie with Crow's Thrifty Finds. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you next week.